Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. H. Francis Reaves runs Parent Your Parents, an elder law practice in Miami combining Medicaid planning with a concierge model where she goes to clients instead of making them come to her. Her expertise comes from a lived experience. She navigated her parents through the system, then her husband with Alzheimer's, who spent $3 million and left her in unexpected debt. She had to put him on Medicaid. Now she's climbing out and planning to double her practice in 12 months using AI to handle mechanical work while she focuses on strategy and empathy. As a solo practitioner, AI serves as her strategy sounding board. It generates documents she edits, it checks her thinking, it validates theories. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. Today I'm joined by attorney Francis Reaves of Parent Your Parents. Francis, thanks for joining.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to. Could you start off and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business from a high level?
Sure. I am an attorney. I went to University of Miami, where I live now, but I went to University of Miami and then moved and I was a litigator, which meant I went to trial a lot. And then I met the man I ended up marrying and moved to Baltimore, Maryland, and got very involved in politics, not so much on the getting elected side, which is the boring part, but the fundraising policy side of politics. And I did that probably for about 15 years. And then the governor and I didn't see eye to eye. And so in politics, if you and the governor don't see eye to eye, you're usually asked to leave, and I was. And so I came back to Florida because I could. And my parents were they were elderly at the time. They needed a little bit more help. So I started helping them and found out about this whole world of elders and seniors who get no help, who are not asked. So along with my law firm, which is just basically Medicaid planning and estate planning, I added an elder advocacy portion to it, and that is Parent Your Parents. So that's kind of how the two meld. You know, it never goes to plan. You're never quite sure how it's all going to come out in the wash, but that is why I now do elder advocacy. It's thanks to mom and dad. And without them, truthfully, if they hadn't had a lawyer for a daughter, I shudder to think of what might have happened to them.
Right. Well, this is why it's very interesting. You've got a bit of a different model from others that I've spoken to who are attorneys. So right now, can you describe a little bit about how that works? Because obviously you have the website parentyourparents.com, which is it's educational as well as also providing the services, and you describe it as concierge services for elders.
Right.
How does that work alongside your firm?
Well, I mean, basically, it's really the clients I receive. I have plenty of clients who need an estate, a will. That's just sort of pro forma, and I work with them. And I have, my niche is under about 15 million, because after 15 million, you have to start paying taxes, which means you have to add insurance policies, and they become very complicated, all of which is fine. I just don't want to get that complicated. And then the other part of my business is with a lot of these people who also have estate plans in place. They have nothing else in place. And it's usually, with Medicaid planning, what happens is everybody thinks they're fine, they're fine, they're fine.
Mhm.
And let's say you have $1 million in assets. You think, oh, I'm going to be great. And then all of a sudden, A, you have a stroke, B, you get a pancreatic cancer, C, I mean, I can go on and on. And all of a sudden that $1 million, I mean, yes, you do have insurance through Medicare, but the bottom line is Medicare doesn't pay for long-term care, and long-term care in most homes is anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And all of a sudden you don't have, and depending on the insurance, there might be, if you're in a medical advantage program, for instance, and you want to go to Mayo Clinic, they're not going to pay for Mayo Clinic. You're going to have to pay for that yourself. And so what happens in Medicaid planning is it's almost always a crisis. No one wants to give away their access to their assets 5 years ahead of time, which is what you'd have to do. So with that, what has evolved is I have different clients in different stages of being in an assisted living center. I have some who are staying at home and paying that $15,000 a month. I have some who I've actually, one of my oldest clients, I started in assisted living, then we had COVID. And she got COVID, and then she survived COVID, and then we had her in dementia care, which is called memory care. And now she ran out of money, and here she is in a nursing home. And all she's done is get littler, and littler. I also have a lady, because I live in Miami and I speak Spanish, I also have a lady who came from Venezuela. She's a Venezuelan citizenship. She had a visa. That's all she had when she got here, and she got very sick. And they didn't take her back to Venezuela. And for the past 4 years, it's been $12,000 a month in a nursing home, just in a nursing home. So, you can do the math, but all of a sudden she's not worth nearly as much as she was.
Right.
So I work with those people, and I also work with trying to get it so that when you understand that someone is going to need long-term care, like a stroke victim is a great example, I work with that family so that even though they do have assets, we still can get them into Medicaid. Because Medicaid is here for children who aren't getting medical care, adults who aren't getting medical care, and also getting food stamps, and elders. And most people think you have to be a poor elder, but between being the haves and the have-nots, there's this whole group that we have some. And they're the ones who are getting hit by the high cost of medicine and the way the insurance companies play around with the money they give you. I mean, so I do a little bit of everything.
Great. You mentioned a couple things that, like along the lines of which I've heard. I just, certainly not an expert, but where people think, I have some assets stored up, so I'll be okay until things happen and they realize exactly what they're looking at. What other types of things for people that aren't in your industry are maybe not well understood or underestimated? Are there any other things you would mention there as well?
I would mention, and I hate to even say it, long-term care insurance. The reason I'm not worried about not having enough assets is because I've had long-term care insurance for about 15 years. And so it just keeps growing in how much is in it. So what I basically purchased was a bunch of money. And the longer I live, the more money I have. And then there's an inflation rider that I also purchased. A lot of people don't purchase long-term care. My husband is a great example because he thought he had enough money. He certainly had more than $1 million. There's no doubt about that. But so when I bought my long-term care insurance, he told me, A, he didn't need it, and B, I wouldn't have to take care of him, and C, there would be enough, quote, left over for me to dry my tears. Well, guess what? He spent it all. He
Wow.
spent every cent of it.
Mm.
And there was no money. There was no money to take care of him. So I had to put him into Medicaid. And why did I have to put him into Medicaid? Because he didn't have long-term care insurance. Had he had long-term care insurance, he'd be much better off today. So I call it a necessary evil because A, it's expensive. Nowadays, you're looking at just depending on the type of policy. And oftentimes they actually have, what's it called? Life insurance built into it. Like if you don't use it, they'll give you a discounted life insurance, that type of thing. But if you have long-term care insurance, you're not going to have to worry about where you die. You'll be able to afford, for the most part, an assisted living center. You'll be able to afford, I'm not crazy about memory care locations, but if that's what your family wants, you'll probably be able to afford, or you'll even be able to afford people in your home.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you won't have to sell the home so that you have to move into an assisted living center.
Right. That's great.
So,
Great.
yeah, it's a necessary evil. Yes, it's expensive, but think about it. So let's say you have to pay $8,000 a year. Okay, let's just put that out there. And you can do it over 12 months. But 1 month in a nursing home is anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000.
Yeah.
And the bad news is none of these are great places. I mean, the best nursing home, which I think is where my husband is, it got 5 stars. It's okay.
Right.
They don't always shave him. They don't always cut his hair. They don't always make it, it's only okay. I mean, these are people who are making $20 an hour.
Yeah. That's great information, though. I'll go ahead and pivot over to our core topic with the podcast and chat a little bit with you about where you are coming into the conversation on AI.
Okay.
What sort of trends are you seeing in the industry from your perspective?
Well, I can tell you, as an attorney, I'm taking as many classes or classes, basically, the little webinars, et cetera, as I can. Because first of all, sorry about the dog.
Oh, no problem.
She goes with me everywhere.
Dog lover.
First of all, as we were discussing prior to the show, it's the trend. Secondly, you don't want to get in trouble as a lawyer ethically. I mean, once the Florida bar finds out that you've done something with anything, especially in Florida, like in Indiana, they don't necessarily make it public. I assure you that in Florida, they do. You can go in and see whether somebody's been reported, et cetera, et cetera. I think you get one free pass. And, but I already use, whenever I'm stuck, I use AI. Like today I was wondering on a particular trust if how I had to word it. I knew I had to do it, but how to word it. I just went to AI. How would you word this? I mean, it's so much easier than calling all your friends and saying, oh, do you have a sample?
Yeah.
Which is what we used to do, right? Remember the old cut and paste days?
Oh, yeah.
And now, I'm also a writer. I think I told you prior to, I have a book, Boomers Booming, but which came out before AI. But nevertheless, I write for all sorts of periodicals. And after I write the article and talk about the issue, I stick it through AI to
Hmm.
see if there's something I'm missing, if they have a better way of saying it than I do. And then I am a lawyer. I edit it one more time. We lawyers, if we're not the last editors, it's over.
Yeah.
So I think AI, I don't think it's going to take away my job because my job has a lot of strategy behind it. And I'm not saying AI doesn't have strategy, but some of the strategy just comes from experience of working with people who need a
Right.
special needs trust, a quantitative income trust, a pooled trust. You know what I'm saying? There are all these strategies. And how much in life insurance do we use for this estate, for the taxes, et cetera, et cetera?
Mm. Absolutely. Um, what are the aside from what you just touched on about, like, oh, is it going to replace us? The big question everybody
Yeah,
has. Um,
everybody.
right. Are there any other fears, uncertainties that you've encountered, or maybe even if not your own ones that you've heard other people express?
Well, I mean, the truth is, I worry about folks who, like a barista.
Hmm.
I mean, making that coffee isn't that hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could program uh, a coffee machine to do a latte or half what. I mean, I know mine goes on and on, three Splenda, la, 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 la. you
Right.
know. So you can program a machine to do that.
Right. How about in the
And you
legal domain? Is there anything else that you're seeing, or is that really just to
in
what
the
degree?
legal area, in the legal area, I think we have a ways to go, but I think some of the appellate work is after a trial, if you do not like the end of the trial, you can appeal it. And that means actually you have to do, and I used to do appellate work, you do what's called a brief, and a brief is your argument as to why this should or shouldn't be. And in that brief, you have to, and this is where AI is pretty far behind in the legal world, you have to cite the cases. And we've all
Mhm.
heard the talk about people, AI just made up cases, right?
Yes.
They just
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
cited cases they didn't know. And the judges caught them because the judges have clerks who actually look up those cases.
Mhm.
So I do think once case law catches up into AI, and I don't know if it will or it won't. Every state's different. That then you have state courts and you have the federal courts, and those are also two different areas of that you pull resources from. Like if you're in state court, you're only going to pull from the state. If you're in federal, you're only going to pull from federal unless, and we all do it, unless there's only a state court that has the holding you want, or if there's a federal court here,
Mhm.
federal case that has the holding that you want. I mean, we do steal from each other, but it's the exception, not the rule. So I do think when case law catches up, being an appellate lawyer, unless you're just a true intellect, like I'm not a true intellect. I'm smart enough. I know when I need help. Uh, but there are some attorneys out there, a lot of them are at Harvard and Princeton, mean, Lawrence Tribe comes to mind at Harvard. He's a constitutional scholar, but he thinks of other ways to see a constitutional phrase. Francis sees the constitutional phrase and says, oh, okay, I can use that as part of my strategy.
Right.
Whereas Lawrence Tribe will take that and go outside of it. And I mean, it's sort of that Mensa quality that
Right.
most people don't have. I'm not alone. I'm not for 1 minute trying to sound I'm stupid. I'm
course.
just saying those people are always going to have jobs because they're, just because of, but they're few and far between.
Right.
I mean, a lot of Jeff Bezos' employees are going to be replaced by AI.
And robotics, yes.
And robotics, just like the car manufacturers.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting. On the flip side, what would you say that you're most excited about in terms of the possibilities that AI presents?
You know what I'm most excited about is that it checks me. It's, I'm a solo practitioner. So it's not like I can go over to my boss's office and say, what do you think about this theory? Do you think it would hold water? And he or she could say yes, no, whatever. But I can now say the exact same thing to AI. We just had this huge change in a specific doctrine done by the U.S. Supreme Court. And I'm thinking, because I do think out of the box, I'm thinking that, gosh, maybe I could use this doctrine, now that they've gotten rid of it, in Medicaid planning to get rid of some of what some of the states do. They allow you this, they allow you that, but now, the law has changed a little bit. So, and with any new theory or any new doctrine, people are always the ones who say, no, you can't, no. But, AI actually will say, well, there's this example or there's this example. So I like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I do Google searches now, they bring the AI forward first,
Right.
which I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a big change.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on, if we were to fast forward 5 years from now, what in your domain might look radically different versus what might look the same?
I think you're going to have less paralegals, and those are the people who do in my case, my paralegal puts everything into the we have to qualify for Medicaid, you've got to get your numbers correct, and then you have to submit it through this one portal, and you have to submit the round circle into the round hole and the square into the square. And I think AI can replace that. And I think AI can replace a lot of. I'm working on a case right now with another law firm, and the paralegal is having to go through and check all the emails and put them in an order, like a chronological order. And I think AI can replace that. Now, do I think it's going to take some time? It is. It's a little like, and you're going to have, what was it? We just had all those Waymo cars kind of stopping each other. Wasn't that in California?
Yes.
Like yesterday or the day before, there were three of them. One was trying to execute a 3-point turn. One ran into one, and it's like, are we going to have those kind of convergences? We are. And that's why you're still going to need people.
Yes. Exactly. It will be a reallocation of resources.
Right. But we learn from all of those things. It's like, look at you and I talking over computers.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, Stephen, it would in the old days, I am not flying up to Boston just so that we can sit.
Absolutely.
I mean, here we are.
Right. And even more so, right, an emergent property of the pandemic, because once that happened, like people that were still like, I know this technology exists, but I'd still rather do everything face to face. And now it just has become much more that this is the norm. So,
Well, but here is an area where AI isn't working, nor is Zoom or whatever meeting place or whatever we're on, whatever we decide to use. A lot of judges now, for regular like calendar calls, all that easy kind of stuff, you don't have to stand around and wait for your turn anymore. You can just be on Zoom doing other things, and then when you're called, you're called.
mm-hmm.
But if you're going to trial, you're not doing it on Zoom.
For sure. Yeah. Right.
They tried that, but they're going to want it right there. And you do not have to do Zoom depositions. Mm-hmm. In other words, if they want I can't tell you how many depositions I had to get in the car. You add an hour, both, one way, just getting there and then setting up but on the other hand, face to face, you read a person a little bit better. I mean, I think I read a little bit better when I can feel the person.
Yes.
But, if they're going to be mean, they're going to be mean sooner or later in a Zoom call.
Right. Yeah, but that makes absolute sense. There's a different context there.
Right.
I'll turn a little bit into your business more specifically and just go a little deeper. First, obviously you've got a interesting way that you've niched down what you do. But what else would you say really makes your practice stand out? And like, what do you do extraordinarily well that maybe makes you different from others that have similar services?
I go to my clients. I don't have these big signing parties where everybody comes in, et cetera, et cetera. Nope, I go to my clients every once in a while, just because of the complexity of something. We'll have to do it in two different places. But I mean, the truth is, even if I'm a notary, but even if I needed a separate notary, we can do that online also. I mean, there's a higher cost, but you nevertheless do it online. So I go to my clients, and very few attorneys do that. But that's why, in fact, today I was talking about. Excuse me.
Sure.
Someone in the other office is. We can hear them. Sorry, let me close my door. Pardon. Got it wet closed. Just today, a woman who lives in Argentina has a schizophrenic sister who is she's doing real well on her medication and taking her blood pressure and getting her blood checked. But the sister lives in Argentina. There's plenty of money to take care of the sister, and the sister is a trustee, but she needs a second trustee in case something happens here.
Mm-hmm.
So A, I have to know the trust. B, I have to have the authority, to go and talk to the doctors, to go and talk to the, and she also wants me to visit her once a month. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, so in a way it's a mix, but as I tell anyone who talks about law school, I think law school is a much better education than an MBA, only because law school teaches you how to think, knowing the history behind the doctrine or the policy. I mean, I think the Supreme Court's getting ready to get rid of another doctrine. And it's because we're in the time of Zoom. We're in the time, I mean, we're not going to go into politics, but we're in the time of where um, you can barely talk without talking to being on one side or the other.
Right. Yes.
And so I think the Supreme Court's going to get rid of this one particular doctrine, which makes it easier in some ways for half the population, makes it harder, makes it more accountable for others in the other part of the population. So the question always becomes, can you fund it? And I think that's part of the AI predicament. Can you fund it?
Yes.
So, but I also think that's a question AI can answer for you, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, it's a little like taking the way I practice law just like everybody else does. We have case law, we have ways we draft things. If there's a wheretofore in one of my trusts, I take it out because even I forget what wheretofore means. But and I try and make it in plain English. But I think today it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have to stand apart. And if in fact you are an elder law attorney, which is what I call myself, then what is it your client needs? Not what makes it easier for you, but what is it your client needs? And a lot of your clients, they need you to come to them, and you need to bring your little notary with them, and you need to go next door and ask someone if they'll be a witness. I mean, it's what you have to do.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard. Or meet at Starbucks.
Right. Excellent.
I even buy the coffee.
That's fantastic. What do your client, when you get feedback from clients or kind of reviews, what tends to be from their perspective, what stands out about your services?
Empathy.
Yeah.
Just
That was going to be my guess based on what you were just talking about. Yeah.
Empathy. Yeah. I had to deal with mom and dad, and that really, and then, my husband's in a nursing home now. So, it's a funny thing because I had to deal with mom and dad. Now I'm the eldest of three. And what happened basically is mom and I were oil and water the whole time we were growing up, mainly because she was 5'2", I was 5'10". I mean, there were some reasons. I'm a little bit more like my dad than I am like my mom. But nevertheless, there came a point because of just realizing everything they had to go through. There came a point where you just say to yourself, excuse me, I have got to get over this. I mean, how ridiculous is this? At a bare minimum, your mother gave you life.
Yes.
Or as did your dad. I mean, it took two. It wasn't that, neither one of my parents went to some doctor and got something placed. So in that case, and then the transformation was pretty amazing as to how much I loved my mother, how easy it was to be with her, how do I entertain her, It was, and I assure you, my mother did not change. Not at all. But once your perspective changes, now AI can't really help with that,
right.
Yet. I mean, but, and I think that little thing helped me be more empathetic. I mean, there are people, I have one client who's almost agoraphobic. She will never leave her home, ever, ever, ever. She calls me at 6 a.m. in the morning because, she needs a feminine product. And she knew I'd be up because she knows I'm a walker. So, I mean, what do? She's 5 minutes away. You go do what you have to do. Now, am I crazy about doing that? No. But on the other hand, people are going to speak well of you.
Yes.
And
Above and beyond. Yeah.
right. And what you really want to do is let people know that they can come to you. I mean, there are a lot of services that I give away for free, and I have to figure out how to capture that a little bit better because, they want a caretaker. Who would I suggest? Ba, 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 ba. So there's some of that. And, AI doesn't, that's an area AI,
Right.
there might be national chains that they know about, but they're not going to know about the neighborhood.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where my kind of law is. I don't think going, I mean, it, I think AI is much more a positive
Mhm.
addition to my practice than a
Yes.
negative one.
Absolutely. I'll talk a little bit now about growth. So in terms of that question, what growth stage would you say that you're in right now with the business? You mentioned you're a solo practitioner. I know you have a team that you work with through Parent Your Parents and everything, but if you could talk a little bit about growth now versus where you want to be, say, 12 months from now.
I want to double my practice in the next 12 months. And I think AI can help me in that regard because a lot of if I have to put a promissory note together, I can just tell AI to do that. I don't have to get online, I got a promissory note, re-edited it. I just ask AI, give them the criteria, boom, it comes out, and B, the lawyer edits it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's one area I'm also hoping, and I'm really planning on using AI's assistance with this as well. It's part of the reason I said yes to this podcast. Because I wrote the book and because I have had personal knowledge, which comes out in the book. I mean, in other words, I've had personal knowledge of a mom and dad who are elders, a mom with dementia, a dad who is fine. And because their mom's long-term care ran out, we then ended up having to put her into a nursing home. So I already had the whole nursing home experience. And then with my husband, who is 15 years my senior. So, I mean, that's part of the reason. But he also knew he came from a family with the Alzheimer's gene.
Mm.
So, I mean, he should have gotten long-term care. But nevertheless, because of his disease, I've actually had the having to caretake at home, and what that's like, and written articles on choosing not to be a caretaker, which is exactly what I chose. I mean, I have a life and I'm really big on that. Not everybody is. I mean, I don't want, I don't speak for the entire population, but I bet I speak for a lot of people when I say no one really in fact, new clients who said, no, we'll never put her in a nursing home. We'll never put her in a nursing home. Well, guess what? It's too much for them.
Yeah.
It's just too much. And so I don't judge, and no one else should judge.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and for all those reasons, the next thing I want to do is be the expert on how you take this journey. There you go.
Yeah.
CNN, are you listening?
I mean, it sounds like with everything you have brought together, you're well on the way there. Are there any other pieces there to that growth plan in terms of are you looking to expand?
I would expand. This is how I would like to expand, in that I would have more than one paralegal, because I'd have 4 or 5 Medicaid plans coming in a day.
Yes.
Or 2 or 3 more trusts coming in coming in,
Mhm.
not a day, a month, pardon me. So that, a lot of it, again, the strategy is mine, but once we do the strategy, you have to put all the numbers together and figure out if the strategy works. And if not, all right, let's try another strategy. And what are the tactics behind it? So that's where my importance lies. But as far as the filing of it, that's not where my importance
Right.
lies.
Absolutely.
So,
Um,
and go ahead, Stephen, sorry.
oh, no problem. Go ahead and finish, please.
Well, no, I was going to say my expertise is really in, I know this sounds like not a lawyer, but in hand holding. I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of have to, you know, have a little psychiatric bend to it,
Hmm.
and you really have to not judge. I
Hmm.
mean, for instance, my agoraphobic client, there's nothing that's stopping her from going outside of her home but her.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Francis. So you chose to bring her on as a client.
Hmm.
You have to accept it as it is. And
Right.
I don't think everybody can.
Right. Yeah. I could easily see others in your position saying, like, I can't work like this, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No. No, no,
Absolutely.
no. And then her kids get involved. That's always fun. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Um, so I'll follow up on the growth. So lots going on, lots of good
Mhm.
things. Looking to double, and then I always look at theory of constraints. So I have a magic wand question, which is, if you could wave a magic wand right now and fix one thing in your business, or maybe one constraint, bottleneck, what would that be right now?
My intake. I need to come up with a better intake model, and I'm working on that. I'm also and right behind that is my social marketing. I I'm redoing my website, and I think that I am not an SEO girl, because with SEO you get a lot of phone calls
Hmm.
and they can't afford you.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's not, I promise you, I do pro bono work all the time. Of course, you can't not do it, but you have to survive. And it's easier to do pro bono work when you know that you have another one coming in.
Mhm.
So, but so with SEO, the people who are wasting your time are way too many. And so you have to, I think really you have to position yourself more on, in my opinion, and I'm not an SEO person. In my opinion, you have to be on LinkedIn, you have to be on Facebook,
Mhm.
and I have someone who puts all my articles up on those mediums, and you never know when someone's going to call you because of it. But when it comes to SEO, it's just a numbers game,
Yes.
and you only pay by clicking, et cetera, et cetera. I think AI is going to get rid of some of that too, because again, it's all mechanical stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. In the what they're calling AEO too, which is the AI results, are increasingly becoming relevant. Are you doing any advertising or anything, or
I
just
well,
mostly?
I advertise through my free speaking engagements.
Mhm.
I consider this podcast a little of an advertisement, but I don't have a billboard.
Right. Are you doing, like, I was thinking more along the lines of doing any like pay per click type of ads
I,
for your.
I I've been approached, and um, I haven't I haven't adopted it yet.
Sure. So you're
It's
mostly getting.
expensive.
Right. You're mostly getting people through referrals and just consuming your content and the SEO and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not many through SEO. Those are the ones I'm trying not to get. I
Right.
believe it
Right.
or not, most of mine come from the articles, because the articles are in newspapers, and you know, um, newspapers, online.
Mhm.
Um, that's where most of, and of course referrals. I mean, referrals
Yes.
are your bread and butter, and referrals from other attorneys. In fact, just today, the Argentinian and the schizophrenic came from an attorney who wouldn't even want to handle this. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yes. Please, you take this one.
yeah. Would you do this? Pretty please, of sugar on top.
Yes. That's
So,
great. Um, Fantastic. And then that's a lot of great information. Honestly, not only for a resource like you just mentioned right there for potentially other attorneys, but such great information too for the end user. And uh, based on everything you've said, obviously you've got a personal story there. Your parents, your husband. I think this will influence the answer to this question, but where I like to always wrap up, Francis, is just kind of go from the broad AI conversation to more about your business, and then end on the personal, which has to do with your why. And that's really like the what motivates you to get out of bed every morning and go do what you do. What would you say there?
well, the first thing is I love I love what I do. I mean, I get paid for actually helping people.
Yeah, it
You know
comes
what I'm
through.
saying? Like when someone gets all their papers or they get their parents into a nursing home, they're so happy. And I'm the reason, right? So that's a positive. Um, the other the other personal side of this for me is, you're always learning the law. You're always learning a new strategy. You never, I mean, tomorrow someone's going to come up with something new. And
Mhm.
by that, I mean a whole new fact pattern. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? So I love that because I love the intellectual
Right.
stimulation, which is why I started writing
Mhm.
because, you know, uh, of all the experience I was having, what was I doing? In fact, the reason I got my rescue dog, which was the cutest dog on on the rescue page, was because when I sent in my application, I sent in my obit for my last dog.
Uh,
because
yeah.
because that's how I process,
Mm.
so it really helps. And truthfully, um, this whole ordeal with my husband, which started, I want to say, in 2021, so now it's been 4 years. I mean, imagine finding out. And so now when people say to me, oh, my husband has Alzheimer's or dementia, it doesn't really matter, right? But what happened in my case is now Tom going through his $3 million is not all what's it called? That's not dementia stuff. He was having a good time.
Right. Okay.
But at the end of it, all of a sudden I think he realized, uh-oh,
Mm.
and that's when he brought me in, like, because part of that, we were both second spouses and we had a prenuptial. So his money was his money. I wasn't allowed to do anything with it. I mean, we had steps. He had to pay for this. He had, the usual prenup stuff.
Mhm.
But then he also left me in debt that I didn't even know existed. And that, for
It
the
happened.
most part, was the disease. So what happens now is I'm the one who has to climb out of that, right? And Robert Frost has this great saying, which I tell everyone: the best way out is through.
Yes.
But, but, and I've written several articles on this. The through is not fun.
Hmm.
Don't for 1 minute think, and I counsel on that because I didn't expect to have to do it, but I did it. And look, I'm still climbing out. It's like, taking the high road. I I write on that too, because guess what? There's no elevator. There's just no elevator at all. You have to climb every one of those stairs. But once you get there, that doesn't mean it's only a plateau. Don't worry. There are going to be more stairs. Don't worry. But what that means is you just grow stronger and you're moving forward and you're not, and it's what my book is about. You are actually just gaining more experience. And so the bottom line is, everybody talks about dementia, but I always say aging grows experience, not Alzheimer's. And the more you use that intellect and that experience, the more you keep dementia and Parkinson's and all those diseases at bay. Just get on LinkedIn or YouTube for that matter. I mean, there is one thing that cures everything. Well, three things: exercise, eating right, and socialization. Period.
Absolutely.
You're just coming to me because you didn't do one of those things. Or your parents didn't. So for me, I'm so happy that I can sit here and say to you, Stephen, in the next 12 months, I want to double, because that means I've already done that once, just to be where I am today.
Great point. Absolutely. So I love your perspective. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
Yeah, I really appreciate all of that. Like I said, there's not only got some great insights into how you're thinking about technology and thinking about growing, but also just in terms of this really interesting model that you have. And you gave a lot of value to people here today. So I appreciate that. I'll give you a minute to just talk about how to find you, get the book if people are interested in that.
Oh, yeah. I always forget. Yes, I go by H. Francis Reaves, and my website is parentyourparents.com, and the phone number is 786-418-3303. I'm out of Miami, Florida, and handle Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach right now. And the book, which I loved writing, let's see if I can get it up here next to my head. Is it up? Is it?
It's
can you
good,
read
yeah.
it? Okay.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
Boomers Booming: How to Thrive After 65, and this right here says, and have good sex, because I think that's a way to thrive. So. It was written with
You
love.
said socialization, right?
It does do that.
Exercise and socialization.
Yeah, and although I don't go into nutrition, I do mention that you should eat right. And it's all moderation. I mean, you shouldn't drink. I drink. I mean, do I get drunk every night? Not every night. No. But the bottom line is it's moderation. And there comes a point, it's like my husband who lives in a nursing home. They don't want him drinking. And I say, let him have a beer. It's 5% alcohol. I mean, everybody wants to all of a sudden monitor you so that you're going to live longer. What? I want a husband with Alzheimer's to live longer so that he's in that fetal position, just getting food like this. No. Do you want that for your loved one? Let him have a beer.
Exactly.
So.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for everything today. This great appearance, and yep, I'm sure some people will really benefit from everything you shared today. So,
well,
thank you
as
so
long
much
as you do, Stephen, that's what matters.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.